Welcome to the Intimate Marriage Podcast, where I teach educated, successful couples how to have incredible, passionate relationships so that you can stop compromising and start feeling fully alive in your relationship. I'm Alexandra Stockwell, aka the Intimacy Doctor. I'm a physician, a relationship and intimacy coach, and I'm an intimate marriage expert. My husband and I have been married for 26 years. We have 4 children and full professional lives, and we've created an amazing marriage. I've shown hundreds of couples how to do so as well. So if you want to deepen your understanding of your own relationship and learn to access new heights of emotional, sensual, and erotic intimacy, you're in the right place. I will show you how. Now, let's dive in. What are your priorities? Specifically, when it comes to your marriage, what are your priorities? And if someone were following you around, seeing where you put your time and attention, would they conclude your priorities are what you say they are? We're going to get into such an interesting conversation using one of the posts that Mark Randolph, who's the co-founder of Netflix, a post that he made on LinkedIn as the context for our conversation. But before we do that, I want to read one of the reviews that somebody left on iTunes. This is from Rockin' Life in MD. I'm guessing Maryland, but of course it could be any number of things. Maybe it's Rockin' Life in Medicine. I'm not sure. But anyway, this person says, super juicy, must listen. I love everything about Uncompromising Intimacy. It's such a fresh and invigorating perspective on marriage and relationships overall. I love the perspectives offered on new ways to show up for partnership. I just listened to the episode with her daughter, which as a mama to a 22-year-old was super interesting and heartwarming. Rockin' Life in MD, thank you so much for that review. I'm sure it inspires people who read it, and I'm so glad that you get the value. If you yourself haven't left a rating and review on iTunes or wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts, please go ahead and do so now so that other people can know why they should listen to the Intimate Marriage Podcast. And now let's turn to our topic. So Mark Randolph's post came up on my LinkedIn feed. It's a little bit long, but I want to read it to you because it is so profound. He is someone who has had a rich and illustrious career. He's had multiple businesses, things that seemed like crazy pie in the sky, delusional ideas that he took incredible action on, strategically moved forward, learned from his failures, and created incredible success by any measure. So I want to read a recent post from LinkedIn. In fact, in the show notes, I'll link to the post because I shared it on my LinkedIn feed so you can read it and see the picture of him and his wife just below it if it interests you. So Mark Randolph writes, I've worked hard for my entire career to keep my life balanced with my job. In my book, I write about my Tuesday date nights with my wife. For over 30 years, I had a hard cutoff on Tuesdays. Rain or shine, I left at exactly 5 p.m. and spent the evening with my best friend. We would go to a movie, have dinner, or just go window shopping downtown together. Nothing got in the way of that. No meeting, no conference call, no last-minute question or request. If you had something to say to me on Tuesday afternoon at 4:55, you had better say it on the way to the parking lot. If there was a crisis, we are going to wrap it up by 5. Those Tuesday nights kept me sane. and they put the rest of my work in perspective. I resolved a long time ago to not be one of those entrepreneurs on their 7th startup and their 7th wife. In fact, the thing I'm most proud of in my life is not the companies I started. It's the fact that I was able to start them while staying married to the same woman, having my kids grow up knowing me and, best as I can tell, liking me, and being able to spend time pursuing the other passions in my life. That's my definition of success. Again, that's from Mark Randolph, the co-founder of Netflix and a very successful entrepreneur who founded and brought many other businesses to success as well. So what do you think about that? Now, as a listener to the Intimate Marriage Podcast, this is a really interesting question to consider. Because last I looked, there were on the way to 3,000 comments on this post. And one of the most incredible things to me is that many of them were really negative. Things like, I guess she got you by the balls, and I can't believe you'd want to stay married to her, and any number of other immature and disrespectful responses that I don't really need to recount to you. But the point is that in our society, people on LinkedIn, it's not like it was Snapchat or some specifically immature platform. This is LinkedIn, and loads and hundreds of comments are judgmental and unsupportive. That tells you something about our society. That people would have responses other than admiration and respect. I mean, Mark Randolph has had success by every measure. He is a handsome, fit, healthy, older man. I don't happen to know his net worth, but financially, he is incredibly successful. He has impacted millions of people in all kinds of ways. He has taken something from preconception to full-blown global impact success. He has good relationships with his children and a beautiful, satisfying wife with the same woman. And he says his definition of success is to have lived through all of that, married to the same woman. What is not to respect about that? So I'm pointing this out for a few reasons. One is that if you are a super ambitious, driven person, you still can prioritize your marriage. Does it mean that you have 30 hours of leisure time with your honey? No. But there is something incredible, foundation building and expansive in making the commitment to be there on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Not specifically Tuesdays, not specifically 5 p.m., but for your spouse to know, no matter what day of the week it is, he or she has either just had a really good time with you, or it's just a few days more until you do. That creates something so profound. It creates the kind of foundational security, sense of commitment and worthiness and being a priority, which allows passion and vulnerability and erotic energy to flow. It allows adventure and risk-taking, both in the relationship and in one's personal and professional life, that isn't explicitly or overtly connected to the marriage. Because if you know that once a week you and your spouse are going to put your phones away and really be present with one another, that's like the sun coming out every morning and setting every evening. We don't even think about it most of the time, but we certainly count on it. It certainly guides us in our behavior, even if it's subtle. So I wanted to tell you about Mark Randolph for a few reasons. One, as I already have, no matter how ambitious and driven you are, you still can choose to prioritize your marriage, prioritize your woman or your man. And it's not about how much time you spend together. It's that you are unequivocally committed to doing so on a regular enough basis that it's always happened recently or going to happen soon. And you might have a season of life, let's say you're a surgical resident, or you have brand new triplets. There are a lot of different circumstances when you can't commit like that every week. So do it every month. Do it every 6 months if you need to during a particular season of life. And as soon as you're able to do it every week, do. It completely makes a difference. In fact, my husband and I, we have so many professional projects that, I have mine and he has his. And we were just feeling that even though we have a really beautiful marriage by any standard, we were missing that kind of foundation that comes with consistent prioritizing. And so we now have a very clear arrangement. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday evenings at 9, unless one of us is traveling or we have a sick child who's throwing up and needs our attention or something along those lines. We are together with one another in our bedroom with the door closed. Does that mean we're being romantic? Maybe it does. Does it mean we're just lying in bed, being with one another, having a conversation? Maybe it does. I'm actually not going to tell you exactly how we organize those times, but the point is that it means that either we have had time for the two of us to drop in together yesterday, or it's happening today, or it's happening tomorrow. If it's Saturday, it's been 2 days since it's happening and it's going to happen tomorrow. And 3 times a week suits us with our various schedules and our family life the way it is right now. In the past, it's been just once a week. And who knows, when we're empty nesters, maybe it'll be 7 days a week. That remains to be seen. But as soon as we started doing this a few months ago, I immediately felt this channel open up between us. It's hard to explain. It's like there's this underground river which is flowing, which just doesn't flow when there isn't the consistent sense that the relationship is a priority. And reading Mark Randolph describing how he's done this throughout his whole career just really lit me up because he's taking a stance for that. So that's one of the points I wanted to make. And then the other one, which I've already referred to, is that there are so many people who read what he wrote and had really negative, sometimes ugly, disrespectful responses to it on LinkedIn, which is a relatively more respectful and professional platform than other social media platforms. And the reason that I'm saying that is because that represents the society that we live in. It's easy for people to support financial ambition, but the ambition and priority of tending one's marriage with this kind of care, so many people just don't get it. So if it's something important to you and the people around you at work, your colleagues or siblings, whoever it is, who don't get it, who aren't supportive, who either to your face or behind your back have negative comments or make it difficult for you to set your schedule to do this, just know that's not about you. It is not about your priorities. It is about the culture we live in. And it's really super important that you find a way to hear about other couples who live this way, connect with other couples who live this way. And if you want to be in a growing community of couples who share these kinds of priorities, I am warmly inviting you to join the next cohort of the Aligned in Hot Marriage Live program, because magic happens when you hear how other couples are navigating the same issues. And it's like spinach for Popeye to hear other couples finding a way to really prioritize their marriage. It makes it so much easier for you to do so as well. So I'll put the link in the show notes. If you have any questions, you can go to my website, alexandrastockwell.com, and use the contact form to message me. Feel free to message me on Instagram or LinkedIn. You know, I spend a little bit of time there. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, but reading all those negative comments just reminded me how important it is to really be exposed to people who are going to support you in your priorities and are going to have similar priorities, and how they honor them can inspire you. Now, as this podcast drops, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. So in addition to sharing Mark Randolph's beautiful post, in addition to inviting you to join me in the Aligned in Hot Marriage Live program, where we go deep on priorities and connection, collaboration, communication, and making time for ooh la la loveliness. In addition to all of that, I warmly welcome you to enroll in my free Make Valentine special course. It's a 3-day course. You'll get an email each day with some content that I'm sharing with you, an audio to listen to, an assignment that'll be fun to do with your honey. It's completely free and intended to give you context and juice up your Valentines, make it special so that 2023 is your best Valentine's Day yet. So go to the show notes for the link to the LinkedIn article for your invitation to the Aligned in Hot Marriage Live program, and for Make Your Valentine's Special. And really think about your priorities, and then figure out what your next steps are so that the way you live genuinely reflects them. And by the way, this is a really great episode to share with your spouse. You can both listen to it and see what conversation it sparks. What changes would you like to make in how you connect with one another? And if you've gotten value from this episode, be sure to leave a rating and review wherever you're listening to this podcast. I'm so grateful to all of you who do so. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, and please leave a rating and a review. And if you're ready to deepen your relationship and create a truly intimate, delicious, and vibrant marriage, head over to the Work With Me page at alexandrastockwell.com and choose the program that's right for you.